Today is day 149 of Blender. It is also Wednesday, July 6th, 2022. And I'm just going to be doing another text animation today using geometry nodes. I'm going to scroll up here, scroll down actually, geometry nodes. I'm going to kind of hide this over here, zoom in a little bit, and then I'm just going to click on new to add a new geometry node system. So I'm going to disconnect the input, which is the cube over here, from the output so that it kind of disappears, but technically it's still there. If I go into edit mode by pressing on tab, you can see the input there. It's just not being outputted right into the layout because I disconnected that. Now what I want to do is I want to have some text. And so if you program, you know that in Python or in some other languages, text is also known to be a string. And so what I want to do in geometry nodes is I want to convert text to curve instances, because with curve instances, that's how geometry nodes work with, well, that's how it's easier for geometry nodes to work with curve instances. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to do Shift A and I'm going to do string to curves. And so it's going to pop the string to curve nodes node, and then what I'll do is I'll write the string that I want. So again, string and text are the same, so I'll write the name or a name, Gustavo. And so the reason you don't see it pop out in your layout is because it's not connected to the output. So whatever you want to be outputted, you have to connect it to the output. And so once you do that, you'll notice that Gustavo's outputted there. Now, first things first, I'm going to go to my properties panel, which is this little stuff with a bunch of icons, and I'm going to go to object properties, which is this little kind of like frame thingy. I'm going to go to rotation X and change that to 90 degrees so that it rotates 90 degrees along the X axis, which is the red axis. How do I know that? Because this little toggle right here lets me know the red is the X axis. Okay, so now the next step is to kind of give it some substance. So I'm going to fill up the curve instances. And so by the way, again, the text is turning into curve instances. So each letter is a curve instance. You can think of it like each letter is a curve, period. So, and that's how geometry node is going to work with curve instances. It's going to treat it as curves because they became curves. All right, so at this point, I am going to fill in those curves. So I'm going to do Shift A and go to Fill Curve, and I'm just going to plop that right in the middle there, and it should automatically connect, and it should also automatically fill up each curve instance. Now, here's the two properties that it has. So it has triangles and n-gons. These are fill types. So the way you can see the difference is if you go into wireframe mode, you'll see that if it's set to triangles, you see that the the vertices and the edges are actually so messed up and very messy. And if we change this to n-gons, it clears up a little bit, not a little bit, actually a lot. So you want to change that to n-gons. All right, and so at this point, if I go back to solid mode, right over here, there's no difference visually when you're in solid mode, but the difference is in wireframe mode. All right, so now I'm going to give it some more substance or some volume by extruding the mesh. So basically giving it, volume. So I'm gonna do Shift A and go to extrude mesh and just plopping that in there in between. And so notice that it extrudes. I want to change that value by just doing 0.1. And so that happens over here. All right, and in order to control that value, I want to be able to control that value. So I'm just gonna pull that and make it an input. And so notice that when I do that, I go to modifier properties. Now it's a value that I can control here in modifier properties. Also side note, I learned this kind of randomly, but geometry nodes are like your custom modifiers. So here we have so many modifiers, and geometry nodes are your custom modifiers. So they're like literally modifiers that you can just customly make to do whatever you want. And so that's why it appears in the modifier icon tab, whatever, or modifier properties, because it is a modifier. It's a custom modifier, and you can control it just like you can control any other. Like if I do bevel, you can control any other values. It's the same thing. So in order to see like what values you want to control, you can just plop in whatever value and plop it in the input, and then it would appear here. Same thing with the string. If I want to be able to change the string from my modifiers panel, modifiers properties panel, I could just plop it in there and now it also shows up here. And so if I want to change it to, let's say, halo, it will change to halo. Okay, so I'm just gonna go and change it to style. All right. Okay, okay. At this point, let's see. So now if I go to the back, there's a problem because although we extruded the mesh, it kind of messed up with the fill. So it only fills up kind of externally. Is that a word? Externally? I don't know, external. And not in the back. So in order to fix that, there's a node called join geometry. So if I just put that right in here, and I also select the fill curve and put it over here in the geometry, you'll see that if it joins both the fill and the extruded mesh and it helps it work together and it joins the geometry, right, from both the fill curve and the extruded mesh, and then it outputs it into, right, the output over here. And then you can see that the back and the front are now filled, which is good. All right, so now that I'm here, if I go to string to curves, there's a bunch of other properties which are similar to the properties in object data properties when you have a text in layout. It's just the font, the sizing, so you could change the size of it. There's also character spacing, so that's cool, and line spacing, blah, blah, blah. What I want to work on or change is the font. So I'm going to go here to the little folder, and I'm just going to click on Arial Black because that's the one I always use. So um, ends up looking like this. And that's pretty much all that I want to change from here. Okay. Now I'm gonna get to the movement part. So I'm just going to move these here. All right. So at this point, I'm gonna get to the movement part. So what it means to move, the stuff. So I'm going to create an empty. So the way I'm going to control the movement of the letters, or in this case, the curve instances, is by using an empty. And so the way I do this is I click on layout, right? And I do Shift A and I just select an empty and I'm gonna do plain axes. And so that should pop up there. Now to go back to where you were, just click on your string. Now I'm going to bring this empty and I'm going to drag it, right? I'm going to go to the outliner and then select and drag all the way here to the geometry nodes. And now we have the object information of that empty. And so what I want to do is I want to get the position, not the position, well, the distance from each curve instance, in this case, each letter. So I want to get, let me reword that. I want to get the distance from each letter to the axes. So the way I'll do that is I already have the axis information, and then I'll do a Shift A and I'll do position, and I'll put that here. And then I'll do Shift A and I'll do math, and I believe it's vector math because we're working with vectors, which is kind of like, well, I don't want to get into that, but think of it as the difference between, regular numbers and a vector is that vectors are kind of like you're working with shapes, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, and I'll just change this to distance. And now I'll just plug in the position of each letter right into the vector, the first value, and then I'll plug in the location of the axes into the second one, and then that's going to give me this value, which is the distance between each of the positions of the letters and the axes. And now what I'm going to do with that, whoops, what am I doing? Back here, is I'm going to do Shift A, I'm going to do translate instances. So translate instances is basically just kind of translating them. It's in the name. You're just like translating them from one place to another. So it's kind of controls the movement. And so if I put it over here to the value into the instances, whoops, not wrong thing. Did I take the right one? Translation. Whoops, there we go. So what that does, actually, let me show you what it does by itself. So if I just move this, oh, it's because I didn't even do it over here. Put that into the output. Whoops. Where do I put it? I have to figure out where to connect. I forgot. This goes here. Whoops. All right, so instances. I know that this goes into here, and then translate instances goes into. Oh, wrong thing. Filling the curves goes into join geometry or extrude mesh geometry output. Hmm. Oops, wrong thing. X instances join geometry. It wouldn't be there. Weird. What did I just do? I forgot the extrude mesh offset scale. Why is it not working? It literally just is. Oh, it's right there. Okay, I don't know what that was, but okay. So I just know that translate instances literally translates the stuff, but it's not moving because obviously I haven't connected it to anything. Oh, hold on. If I put this over here, wrong thing. Translate instances. This does not go there. Okay, great. Join geometry goes into instances. Nope, it doesn't, because instances is output, so that goes here. Oh, join geometry goes into here. There we go. And then this goes into the output. But obviously it doesn't have a value, so that's why it disappears. Oh, it's over here. Okay, there we go. Figured it out. Forgot there for a second. All right, so let me turn everything back to 0. So translate instances. Basically what that does, again, it just kind of moves your letters around in accordance with the empty. So, well, not yet with the empty, but if I just move it on the X, right, it's going to move left and right because it's X is the red axis. The green axis is the Y axis. So if I move it, well, in this case, the logic doesn't apply. But apparently, think of your math class. You know how you have a coordinate plane, your X and Y. Pretend that there's no Z here, even though there is. That doesn't even make sense. It's probably confusing what I'm saying. But it's different in geometry nodes, and I'm not sure why, but the y-axis is the up and down one, and then the z-axis is the y, and I don't know why they're flipped. It's weird to me. But um yeah, so that's how kind of you translate them. And so what I want is that the distance between each of the letters and the axes, those values, I want them to go into the translation so that now when I G, right, I click on G to grab the axes, it moves in accordance with those distances. Um, yeah. Anyway, notice though that as I get closer to it, um, the closer I am to it, the lower it is, and the farther away from it I am from a letter like O, the higher it is, and I want it to be the opposite. So what I need to do is do some mapping. By the way, I learned all of this from Friday. Hold on. I have the source. I always cite my things here, by the way, in the Notion. What's his name? Flab Friday Lab. Friday Lab. Yep. Friday Lab. So again, I just practice stuff until I learn it. So that's what I'm doing here. All right. So at this point, I just lost my track. What am I doing? Oh yeah, I'm flipping. So again, notice that the G, right, the closest it is to, oh, you know what, this is a perfect example. I mentioned this in the other video, but Here's a better way to explain this. Notice that the G is literally zero distance away from the axes. It makes sense, right? Because the position, right, of the G and then the position of the axes, if you take the distance between those 2 points, you get this value. And this value is going into the translation, which tells the letter G how to move. And notice that it doesn't move, right? It's 0, 0, because again, the distance between the axis, which is the empty, and the G is 0. And so when I plug this in here for the translation, it's basically telling the G don't move because that value is 0. Well, the distance for you is going to be something other than 0 because clearly you see it's obviously a little bit more up and a little bit more to the right. So that kind of explains that. And then also, again, so the point of mapping, I believe this Friday Lab guy, I don't know, he didn't say his name. Used a color ramp to map, okay? And basically what this does is I just have to figure out, hold on. So the geometry, where is this? This value is going to go into here instead. And then this is going to go here. So what this does, it kind of acts as like a boundary. So notice that if I get rid of this and I just put this back over here, right? Let me show you. So let me go to front view by pressing the button under the escape key and then kind of drawing. So notice that it's all the way over here. That's a horrible line. That's still a horrible line. Perfect. So it's weird because it's like going this way and it's just so out of order, right? When I plug in this value, the distances into the factor over here, and then I plug that into the translation. So what that does, it gives it a boundary, right, where it makes sense. So now if I move the empty, so if I select the empty, it won't go past that boundary. So if I press G, notice that it would never go past that boundary. Which is pretty cool. All right. So I believe that when I use the color ramp, it goes from 0 to 1. So this would be 0 and then this would be 1. So it's like 0. Can I not write? Okay, and this would be 1. So it would never go past 1 unless I tell it to by using like a multiplier, which I will in a second. And then also notice that if I press on G, right? Not the G, if I select the empty and I do G, notice again, we have the same problem that as I as I'm closer to the letter, for example, G, it's on the floor, but I want it to be the opposite. As I'm closer to it, I want it to go up, right? And as I'm farther away from it, I need it to be down, and it's the opposite. You see that I'm farther away from O and it's all the way up, and I'm the closest to G and it's all the way down, right? And I want the opposite to happen. I want G to be at the top as I'm getting closer to the empty with it, and I want O to be all the way at the bottom. So I'll do that. I'll go over here, and the way I do this is I click on this little arrow button and click on flip color ramp, and so that flips things up here. So I'll select this and I'll do G and the next, and then notice now that the closer I get to the letter G, right, the more higher it gets, and then as farther away as as what am I saying? As the farther I am away from a letter, it's still on the floor, right? It's lower, like the O. So that's what I wanted. Now, let me just do GX and try to put that there. Okay. Now I'm gonna go back here. And I want to control the bounciness. And so the way I'm gonna do that is I'm first gonna do Shift A and add a math node, and I'm gonna change this to multiply, and I'll just pop that right in there, right? And what that does is going to take these values and it's going to multiply them. And so by whatever factor I want. So right now is 0.5. So if I just do 2, it's going to go all the way up. And it's actually a variable that affects the boundary set by the color ramp. And so now instead of going, like not being able to go past 1, it's going to go past 1. And I believe it's going to go to 2 because again, currently the boundary is 1. So if it multiplies by 2, obviously 2 times 1 is 2. So I believe it's going to reach 2. I don't know whether that is this axis right here because I haven't measured it yet, but we'll see. So let me, if I grab the axes and do G, see, it goes a little bit higher than that boundary 1. So in this case, 2 would be whatever, like kind of over here, right? Oops. Let me just delete this. Let me actually play it again. G, X. So notice that happening here. So this would be 2. Okay. All right. Let me move it. Oops. No, I did not want to change that. Hello. Go back. Selection mode. GX. Okay. So if I go back to Gustavo, okay, and now to kind of affect, not to affect, but to control more of the bounciness, I'm going to do Shift A and I'm going to um select a float curve. And I'm just going to pop that in between the color ramp and the multiplier. Okay, so at this point, what this is gonna do, if I just change this, right, and I kind of curve it, it's gonna make it less linear, like the movement. And if I press on the empty and I do G and then X, so grab to G, you can see that it's more like bouncier. Also notice that it's kind of moving weird, like it's going all the way over there. So in order to fix that, I'm gonna do Shift A, combine X, Y, and Z. I'm gonna put that over here and I'm going to just change this to be in the Y value. So now it should move on the Y axis. I kid you not, I just don't understand why, if it's the Y axis, never mind. It's literally, for me, it's moving on the Z axis because the Z is up and down. It's the Z, right? But then for some reason in geometry notes, I have to put it in the Y. It just doesn't make sense to me. I have to do research on that, but yeah, that's just a little caveat. I just don't know. Anyway, yeah, so if I just move it, notice now that it's moving right up and down, right in the same kind of line, and it's not going past that number, that 2 axes or that second number, right? I guess I have to change that now. Let me just exit out. So it's kind of, this is 2 now. So now if I just continue to move it, it doesn't, well, roughly it doesn't pass that. Um, yeah, because, and that's because, I made my multiplier, right, be a value of 2. All right, so if I also want to control that value, I can just go ahead and drag that all the way to my input, and that would be something that I could now control over here. Um, and it's kind of like increasing kind of the bounciness. And if I want to do something, like that, I could also do something like that. So cool. Um, so I'm just gonna change it back to being like 2, and it's gonna be kind of like a lot of bounciness. It just bothers me that it's not actually on the right. Okay, 2. There we go. Oops, not this, the empty. There we go, beautiful. Now if I also change it to, let's say, what happened? Oops. Okay. Modifiers, if I change it to, let's say, 0.5, it would be kind of be like a less of a bounce. So that happens also. And by the way, to kind of go into more of what the float curve does, it basically controls acceleration or how fast it goes down and up. So notice that without it, I just don't want to remove it because then it's kind of weird. Okay, so hold on. Let me do this. Just plug this in here instead. All right, so without it, and if I move the empty, right, notice that, oh, let me go and change the value back to 2. So if I move it, right, notice, why is it not, oh, it's because, yep. Notice that, if I do G, right, it goes kind of the same speed, like it goes up and down, like in the same speed. So the G goes up and down like in the same speed. And what the interpolation does, it just kind of smooths that out. So now if I move it, right, notice that the G goes as closer as I am, it goes slow, and then it goes down really fast. So slow, and then it goes down really fast. Slow, down really fast. That's basically what interpolation does. So let me move that right back to the beginning. Um, oh yeah, that's kind of what that does. All right. There's one more thing, which is the scale over here. Whoops. Okay. Of the of this thingy over here. I believe that I actually have to put the scale into this value over here. Ah, yeah. So you know what? I have two options, right? So I could change the kind of the bounciness of the text or the string instance or the curve instances by, plugging what? I can't even speak. Plugging it into the group input and then having it appear over here. Or I can do this easily by changing the scale of the empty and S, right? And then I'll be able to do that. But in order to do that, I have to go scale and then put that into, where's my stuff? Hold on. Oops, I lost it. Over here. Into the multiplier as a value, and then get rid of this. Oh, did I accidentally change? Oh my god, I think I accidentally. Oh, that's for the bounciness, not the actual scale. What am I even saying? Whoa, wait, what did I do? Hold on. This is for the interpolation. This changes interpolation. And then this changes. It's because it's not even connected. What did I do? Hold on, let me fix this. Okay. Um, object info goes into. Don't need this right now. This goes into here, which goes into here, right? Oh, that's why I wasn't moving upwards. And then this goes into here, or not. This goes into here. And then the scale goes there. And now, if I change the scale of it, notice that it changes kind of the bounciness. But that doesn't really make sense. So hold on, because there's one thing off about this. I don't know what I messed up. Hold on. So the scale. All right, so this one goes into here. This is the color ramp. Okay, this is the float curve. The factor goes into there. This value, I don't think I even need it to. There we go. Oh, because it had a different here. Oh. And I don't want it to change here, do I? No, I don't. Can I delete this? Nope, wrong thing. All right. Huh, interesting. So once you put it in there, I don't think you could delete it. All right, and so now if I move this, it's not even working because I messed something up, so that's great. So this value goes into the multiplier, and then this value goes into here. This goes in there. Gonna be the same exact thing. Interesting. I don't know what I just did, but I'm gonna figure it out. Okay. Um, how did I have it? Like, I'm literally so lost right now. So this goes into, whoop, nope, wrong thing. Can you please? Okay, this value is the one that I set over here for the bounciness. Don't need that. That value goes into the multiplier and multiply it by 2. Right. Did I have clamp checked on? I don't even remember. Let me check my old video. Not old video, yesterday's video. I think I have it here. I love how like I can do all of this and then just forget. Multiple. Oh, clamp wasn't on. Color goes into the bottom value. Hmm. Oh, it was the extrusion, not the scale. The scale goes into what? Into the multiplier, but it goes into. There we go. That's what I wanted, but go back, go back. It goes into the last one, I believe. I can't even see. Yeah, it goes into the last one. All right, I don't know why. What the? I'm like all over the place. Okay, this scale goes into here because it's what controls that. And then what I want to be able to add here is to control the extrusion, which is this offset value, but I already did that. So think, but here's the thing. If I move it, it doesn't work. Like, what happened? I don't even know what happened. Factor, value, float curve. Oh, okay. Change that. It's on the y-axis, it's translating those points. Everything is going the way it's supposed to go. Is it because I did this? I don't think that makes sense. See, at least, oh my god. At least if I do this, that works, right? But the rest of the values, though, this works, right? Oh, it's because I skip. Oh, I'm so dumb. Like every day, I don't even know what's wrong with me. Why do I do this to myself? I was like, why is it all the way up? It's because the axes, the empty is literally up too. Like it has to be on the x-axis. Like I literally question myself sometimes. I really do. And it doesn't work if I don't have it there, which is an issue. What's happened? Don't we love this? Color to the factor, distance, that's good. Join geometry, translate the stuff. Is it because of this value? How do I delete it? Hmm. I'm not sure what's wrong here because girly doesn't know. It must, okay. So with the empty, it must have something to do with the translation. Translation, little space, which has everything to do with these values. Hmm. I don't know. How about I start over? Let me do that. X, delete everything. X, delete everything. Go back. And this time, I won't take 5 hours. All right, so click on new to select. I did unpause, right? Imagine I did an unpause. That would be funny. All right, Shift A, string to curves. Put that in there, connect that there, go to modifiers, and just make sure that I go and put this in here. And I'm going to say close that one. I'm going to do Shift A to fill the curve, put that in there, N-gons, then Shift A to extrude the mesh, put that in there, and I'm just going to give it an extrusion of 0.1, so you can see that extruded, and now Shift A, join geometry, put that in there, and that should join the fill curve and the extrude mesh once I put that there. Perfect. Now if I go here, and I just, what was I gonna do? Oh, the font, Arial Black, open that up for me. Perfect. I'm just gonna delete this real quick and then do Shift A and then do an empty plane axis. Grab that empty from the outliner and put it in here. Then at this point, I'm going to also do a position node, which is going to be the position of each curve instance, and then a math vector or vector math node. Change that to distance, do position is one thing, location, and then that distance. And then I'm going to do the translation for the instances, whoops, and I'm going to connect that value to the translation. But there's a lot that goes in between there. I'm just going to connect this to the geometry. Hold on. This goes into here. That's the instances, and then this goes into here. But before that, there's a few things I have to do to control the animation. So I'll do Shift A, combine, nope, wrong one, X to delete, Shift A, combine, X, Y, Z, and put that right in there. I can't even breathe. All right, so that kind of brings things down leveled. So I'll do that. And then I'm gonna do, oh, make sure it's on the Y, by the way. There we go. I'm gonna do Shift A and then add a color ramp. Put that right in there. I'm going to flip the color ramp and then I'm going to do Shift A and add a float curve and put that right in there. And then move this way and Shift A and add a multiplier to, whoops, math vector or vector math. Put that right in there. Change it to oh, wait, no. It was supposed to just be math. Shift A, math, put that in there, put the value in here, and then this one goes into the Y, and then this one is just something like 2. All right, and now I can move to the extrusion, move that value into here so I can control it. And then, all right, I'm missing something. What is it? Multiply. There we go. Okay. I forgot to change that to multiply. I had it on add. Okay. Now, yeah, it's working. See, it's working beautiful. I think the problem was that I accidentally added another value here. Oh, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't even know. Now I'm gonna do Shift A, set material, put that right over here. Geometry, put this into here, put this into here. Go to base color. Let me go pick out a color that's nice. Maybe green. Blue, no. Maybe this one, pretty. All right, I'm gonna go here, base color, hex, paste that in there, and then I'm gonna select that over here. And then I'm going to go to, what do you mean? It's right there. Material properties, and it should be right there. Perfect. Now that's looking like looking good. I'm gonna do GX while I grab the axes, put that over here. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't know what was going on, like, um, earlier. I don't know what was not working. All right, so I'm just going to put this here and take a screenshot so that I'm not going crazy whenever I want to reference this stuff here. Maybe I should put it this way. I'm gonna organize this and make it as pretty and nice as possible. Okay, I think that's good. Let me go ahead and take a screenshot there. What was I gonna do? Oh yeah, take a screenshot. I'm literally saying I'm gonna take a screenshot and then I ask what am I gonna do? Like, am I okay? Wait, no, I don't want that. What is that? Okay. Screenshot. Let's take all that. And just do Control S and have that there in the delete for later. Okay, now to the rendering part, which is also, I mean, all parts are fun parts, but I'm going to do Shift A, plane, S to scale, G, X to move it on the X axis, which again is the red axis, tab to go into edit mode, edge select, which is this icon over here in the top left corner, select the back edge, E to extrude, Z to extrude on the Z axis, which is the blue axis, and then maybe something like that. All right, and then I'm going to go into object mode. Where's my stuff? Let me go into layout at the top over here. All right, at this point, I'm going to go to modifier properties in the properties panel, add modifier, generate column, go to the click bevel, and that should kind of put a bevel on the edge over here, increase the amount and the segments, and then right click shade smooth, right? So it's smooth. S to scale, X to scale on the X axis. Now we have something looking like that. Maybe GX to move a little bit more over here. Maybe front view so I could see it. By the way, and to get to this, you press the button under the escape key and press on front. All right, so maybe do G, C to bring it down a little bit so that I don't really have that letters going outside. All right, I'm gonna do Control S and save this. What's today's date? 7/6/22. Save Blender file, go to material preview so I could see it. I'm going to go and add a color over here. New base color, just change it to literally FFF, which is just white. Okay, now I'm gonna go to render properties over here, and I'm just going to, where's the light? Okay, here's the light. If you can't find the light, you can just go here to the outliner and click on light. Okay, now I'm gonna make it a sun and give it a strength of 3, and then I'm just going to G and then Y to move it on the Y-axis, R to rotate, and then what I'll do is I'll go here and unselect shadow so that there's no shadow, I can't even speak, there's no shadow on the letters, and then do G and then Z, bring it down a bit. All right, at this point, that's how it's looking like. Do I want to render it this way? Okay, anyway, now to the actual animation part, because if I click play, nothing happens, because I have to actually, animate the stuff. So I'm going to pull up the timeline. I'm going to go to keyframe 1, and then I'm going to go press on N to pull up my end panel and go to item. And then I'm just going to select this and kind of do G, X, and C when it starts. So kind of about here. I want that to be the first position, right? So I'm going to click on the current X location and I'm going to hover over it. I'm not going to click on it. I'm going to hover over it and I'm going to press I to insert a keyframe. And you'll see when I do that, the location turns yellow. And there's also a keyframe right here, right? Inputted in the time frame. So now that's a keyframe that's going to play. And now I'm just going to do G, X, and move it all the way to the end until the O is on the floor, kind of like that. And I'm going to insert that keyframe um, in about like frame 80. So I'll go to frame 80 because I believe that's where I'm going to stop. Oops, I think I'm going to have to do that again. So GX right about there and hover over that location that it's currently in and press I to insert that keyframe. And then I'm going to go here and end it at 80. So now if I go to keyframe 1, oh, I kind of moved this. How do I move this back? Oops. Anyway, and I play it. Did I just delete my keyframes? Oh, okay, they're here. You'll see that happening. And now we can just simply render that. But before rendering, I have to, set up my camera view and etc. So I'm gonna go to front view by pressing the button under the escape key and kind of setting up my view here. So I'll do Control Alt Numpad 0. If you don't have a numpad, you can go to Edit, Preferences, Input, and emulate your numpad, and that will emulate, hence the name, it emulates the numpad for you. So you could just use your regular 0. Okay. And in order to get out of Control Alt Numpad 0, you press your middle mouse button, and in order to go back to that view, you press 0. Okay, so let me see. I kind of want it a little bit more outwards. So I'm gonna do a little bit like that, Control Alt Numpad 0. Maybe what I'll have to do is I'll have to kind of increase the size of this thingy. Okay, now go here, Control Alt Numpad 0. Something like that, but maybe also not something like that. Maybe move it more to the left, but I'll have to do it outwards here. What if I do something like this? Oh my god. Alright, no, I think I'll go front view. Control Alt Numpad 0, nope. Control Alt Numpad 0, nope. Control Alt Numpad 0, nope, definitely not. Control Alt Numpad 0, nope. How about I'll be smart, right? And I'll just go to geometry nodes and decrease, why can't I, hello? I'm so confused. Um, I am generally so, like, why is it not deselecting? Like, hello? I don't even know what I just did right now. It's not letting me select. This is great. So let me just do Control S and then close this and then open it up again. It's still not working. Great. Like, what is this? Doesn't matter, I could just select it over here in the outliner. So I can go to the cube, which is my actual text, and go to geometry nodes. Is it not here? I am so confused right now. Oh, it is here, so why can't I see it? Like what? Actually it's not here at all. I'm literally genuinely so confused. There's no way that I didn't save it. I did save it, right? I did. Yo, I am so confused. Why is the plane not being, like, I know, can we just go back? Okay, I was like, what is going on? All right, I'm just gonna change the value. Oh, I could have done it by scaling, but I'm just gonna change that back to maybe 1 so that, it doesn't go too much. Perfect. All right, and then go back to layout mode. Kind of over here. And then front view by pressing the button, the escape key, and then just doing Control Numpad 0. Maybe a little bit more outwards. What did I just do? Bro, like, what in the world? I'm so confused. I don't even know what I just did. Is this a joke? Like, seriously? Why is the axis all the way over here? Yo, I am so confused. Select the camera. Control one, pet zero. There we go. Right, something like that. Play it. And so that's going to be, I just need to be a little bit more this way. Perfect. Beautiful. Okay, that's it. So I'm going to go now to output properties. What is this? All right, output properties and change this. Or actually not change, but create a folder. New folder. So 7, 6, 22. And I'm going to call it Gustavo. And this is where basically all my frames are going to render to. They're going to render as PNG images, and that's pretty much all there is to it. I'm just going to go now to render and render animation, and then I'm just going to go to the folder that I have here that I just made. And you should see the frames being rendered, right? So we rendered 80 frames, not rendered, but we are rendering 80 frames. And so 80 images, 80 PNG images should pop up here. And then what we'll do is go to the video editor and just, yeah, no, just render it as an animation, put them all together as kind of like a video, as an image strip, and then render it. So we'll wait a few more seconds. By the way, if you don't have a good GPU, this might take a while. I mean, maybe in other things, maybe not specifically this text, but um okay, so now close that because it's done. Scroll up or scroll down actually. Video editing, go all the way to the beginning, add image sequence, go to the folder that I just made. Select the first one, scroll all the way down, and shift select the last one, add image strip, and you can see that it adds that image strip there for me. And now I go to output properties over here and just create a new folder for the video so I know that I know where it is actually. Select that, so now the video is going to go to that folder, and it's going to go as an FFmpeg video as a file format. And if I go to encoding, I want to change the container to be MPEG4 and the output quality to be high quality, and that's all there is to it. I'm going to do Control S and then render and render animation. And then I should go to the video folder that I had it, and this is the final output. And that's pretty much all there is to it for today. I'm gonna go now. Bye.